Hey everyone, it is Tuesday, April 24th, 2012. This is Talk to Me Tuesday number 39. And I did it. This is the bag that Oph and Jen gave me. I had showed last week that I was making flower motifs for an Afghan inspired and patterned after an Afghan one of the women where I work has on her bed. And I had to make 120 of these flower motifs to be able to make the Afghan. And I had set a goal of no less than 10 per day, which would have actually put it at me finishing them up last night at work. And I actually got them all done by Sunday night. So yeah, whole bag. I mean, this bag is, stuffed full, and they're falling out. But literally stuffed full of all these different flower motifs. I really like this one. Love the colors. I did avoid any green in the flowers themselves unless it was in like this, if it was in a variegated yarn. Otherwise, I did not use any greens except for the edge. So, and I'm pretty sure, I'm like this close to being positive that every one of these flowers is different. Colors may be used with each other more than once, but the placement on the flowers is going to be different. So, but I won't know until I get it together if I have two alike flowers. But I'm pretty sure I don't. So they're done. Want to thank everybody who commented about what color I should use to put it together. I had a couple people on YouTube say black for the pop. I had Oph and Jen say black for the pop or green for the float. I had Alia say green. I had Clumsy Cord say black. I had Sandra say green to go with the floral design or black to make it look more Amish, which was kind of unusual for, you know, it was different. I kind of like that comment because of the difference in it. Excuse me. And actually had my daughter say to use the dark green to kind of create like a vine type effect. But I decided I am going to go with the green that I used to do the edge on them. I want what looks like a field of wildflowers. And when this woman did her Afghan, she actually used like a royal blue. So it almost looks like they're just floating on water. So yes, going with the green. I am not going to lay it out. I'm not going to decide what's going to go where. I'm going to dump all these into a large bag. I'm going to mix them up really well. And whatever I pull out and I put together. Anybody who's ever seen a field of wildflowers, you know, you never heard a wildflower, yellow wildflower say to another yellow wildflower that they can't be next to each other because they're the same color. So whatever I pull out is what gets put on, and that's how I'm going to do it. I don't want to lay it out. I don't want to know what it's going to look like until it's complete. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Going to start working on getting that together. Maybe today or tomorrow. I do want to get the ends taken care of. I don't really have a lot to sew in, even though I've used a lot of color, because as I was working, I was actually crocheting the ends right in, because I really, really hate sewing ends in. So, yeah. But actually, in the 40 years that I've been crocheting, this is the first time I have made an Afghan that I've had to have this many separate motifs to make it. So, it'll be interesting to see it done. Anyway, only other things that I've worked on, I was, you know, looking to make something to put my crochet hooks in, to put my scissors in. Usually I just have a plastic bag and I throw them in. And sometimes I've gotten to work and I'm like, oh, you know, darn, I forgot to, like, throw my, you know, blunt needle in there, so, you know, I can't finish this or that. So I decided I was going to make something that I would have to carry everything. And this is it. I decided to make a case. That's how it looks like closed. You open it up, and I have 3 pockets I put here that I have like a crochet hook. I have some knitting needles I took to work, and I actually needed something to use for stuffing the project. Then I have this pocket here that has my scissors in it. And then I did this, hopefully you can see it, this little pocket here, and you open it up and voila. I just stitched a little piece of felt in, and you can put some needles on it. So now when I go to work, I have a couple needles so that, you know, if I want to sew in some ends or whatever, got that. Got my scissors, got whatever crochet hook I need, anything else I need. Just fold it up, wrap this around, and tie it closed. So, and I actually made a needle case for my daughter, but I already gave it to her and told her she could show that in her video. So you'll see that. And you don't actually see on here, I didn't sew the pockets on. The only sewing I did on this was to sew the felt on and sew the button on. And that's it. Everything else is crocheted. But it was the way I did it, because I actually went with a half double crochet, which kind of creates like a little ridge that you can work on. So, what are you doing? My cat is like flipping out. So yeah, I did this. You'll see the one I made for my daughter yesterday evening. The only other thing, I was actually not going to do anything at work yesterday night, but just relax in between rounds. And as I was thinking about it, I said, yeah, with my luck, I'll get to work. I'll be totally bored in between rounds and be wishing that I had brought something. So I did. I brought my smallest, my size 0 double-pointed needles. I brought some very, very thin, I do believe it's fingering weight yarn. I don't know, it was just a little ball I had floating around here. And some stuffing. And I made me an even smaller squizzle. So this is the tiniest squizzle I have made up to this point. So I think he's cute. All I had to do this morning was put the eyes on and put the mouth on. I didn't want to take eyes to work with me and say, oh, maybe they're too big, but they actually worked out good. So there's my itty bitty teeny tiny, smaller than the last one squizzle. So other than that, that's all I've done. And I will show one last thing just before I say goodbye, and this is for Oph and Jen, who, excuse me young lady, but comments like that land people in jail. Just kidding. She had commented how I was a big tease because I had my sewing machine covered. And my sewing machine is kind of embarrassing. My sewing machine, will you get out of things? Excuse me. My sewing machine is like 23 years old, something like that. I think I got it when I was pregnant for my daughter, so it's like 23 years old. So it's a very old sewing machine, yeah. But, excuse me. No, meow, yeah, come on. It's a very old sewing machine, but I am going to do Oph and Jen the honors, and I am going to show my sewing machine. So, here it is. Whoa. Very old brother sewing machine. It was actually something when I got it, you know, because it was like, you know, back then my sewing machine was able to go forward, go in reverse, and I think do one zigzag stitch. So, pretty pathetic. It was old. It was getting to the point where it wasn't working, so yeah. So that's for you, Oph and Jen. I uncovered my sewing machine for you. Other than that, that's it for me this week. I'm glad everybody enjoyed the craft room tour. I have added to it since then, and will continue to add to it until I get my room finished. And then maybe once it's done, we'll just take a few pictures and show you what it looks like with everything in it. But we'll see. So other than that, look forward to seeing everyone's videos. I hope everyone has a wonderfully crafty week, a wonderfully crafty weekend. For me, it is going to be good night. For you, it is good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, whatever it is. I really do hope it's a great one, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.